welcome back to our Eyes of Love. Open Your Eyes is Valentine special, and we are about to introduce you to our 4 brave couples this morning who are here to have a very open conversation about love and marriage and why you want to get married as well. So we're starting over on this side. We have Kiera Harris and Michael Murillo, and you guys are engaged to be married this July. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And next to them, we have a well-known couple as well, Darrell and Julianne Ellis Bradley, who are a professional couple. Everybody knows you, married for 9 years, going on 9 years, right? And then over on this side,
we have Shane and Shantel Neal, who are a Christian couple, married. Can't wait to hear what. That is good to be there. And we also have Salim and Angela Lin Hoy, international love.
and also our newlyweds. They're literally 2 months into their, going on 2 months now, right?
Correct, yeah.
Into their marriage.
Powerful love story.
Fascinating. Okay, so where do we start? First of all, let's just start with the obvious question. How did you know that the person who's sitting next to you is the one that you want to be next to you for the rest of your life? Let's jump over to the longest man.
Well, that's a deep question, but I remember when I was going to school, because we met at school, and Julianne was talking to somebody, and then I spotted her, and one of the things that made me click was to say that if I had a daughter, I would want her to be just like Julianne.
Wow.
And that actually was it.
Look at that smile.
She's smiling. I love that. And your reaction was?
I didn't know at that time.
Okay.
But I'm still delighted to hear, as you can see.
Yeah, you'll have to.
Yes, I'm still delighted to hear, as you can see. At that time, I didn't know, but it's something that absolutely I think is important in terms of. I think we were having a little conversation earlier regarding love and the different paces you go through.
Yeah.
And I think that it's something, and I found that with Darrell and I, that every year, every challenge brings something new, and it deepens how you feel about each other. And one of the things I think is that I am always in awe and inspired. He inspires me to be a better person, and I think that that is one of the things as well that I continue to admire him, and as a partner we grow through different challenges.
Would you say that Belizean men have a particular charm, which is?
I would say this Belizean guy has a particular charm.
You are so smart. All right, who else is ready to go?
All right, well, for me, it was pretty easy, actually, because we didn't have to try. It just flowed.
Natural.
Flowed, yeah, natural. Nothing was forced.
Yeah.
So,
What is interesting is that you guys are the modern couple, you know. This was a Facebook love.
yeah, somewhat in the beginning. Yeah.
Can you tell us about that, how that connection came about?
Well, it started with her wishing me happy birthday, right? So, I slide off in her inbox. And be like, you want to come over? I got a party later, which I did. But she never did show up.
I didn't show up.
Typical lady.
Yeah, and
It was raining in the evening.
Okay.
So I didn't show up.
And he was a stranger.
And he was a stranger. And about 2 days after, he inboxed me again and asked me if I still wanted my cake. And greeted Mara, like, yeah, I still want my cake. And then so we met. My first impression was him was that he was different. He had the beard and the hair, and I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
But it was different, but really interesting. He caught my attention. So we had a little conversation. It went well, and I walked away. You know, you walked away. You're hoping that they would look like you want to walk back, and I turn around and I see you watching me, and I'm like, yes.
Got her.
And then, like, ever since then, we talk constantly on the phone, the late nights, texts, memes and everything. And then, like he said, he just clicked. Nothing was forced. I could be myself, he could be himself, because we're real silly. We laugh at all the silliest things, and we have a really good time together.
You got the cake?
I got the cake. I got the cake.
And a little bit more.
All right, let's start over here.
Well, for us it was prayers, and more prayers, because it's hard to tell who somebody really is from the outside, because people put up a good front, and it's even scary to think about, because you don't know their intentions. Only God knows. So I tapped into the man above, because he knows the heart, and he knows who's genuine and who's not. And so it took a while. We went to high school together. I dated his friend. He dated my friend. Whoa! I know, you know how that goes, right?
Well, that's not complicated at all.
So we knew each other for a long time, but there was nothing there at high school. I went away to college, and then he made a statement. He was like, "There's no good girls in Belize," because after high school, all that boyfriend-girlfriend thing ends, right? So he was planning on going away, and then he made the statement, "There's no good girls in Belize." I'm like, really? Why would you say that? And from there, I don't know what happened. I don't know if there was a switch that turned on or what. But then we became more than just friends, because we were friends from back in high school. Like I said, we dated each other as friends. More than just friends, and from there it grew and grew. After 4 years, then I got the proposal. I got the proposal. So it took time. It started from a friendship, and then from there it grew into what it is now.
He took a serious gamble, because if you had taken that the wrong way, there would be no wedding, dude.
Maybe he knew she's always up for a challenge.
Yeah, and
Reverse psychology.
yeah, that was one of the things
Good one.
that I noticed. She wasn't the typical, because I played sports in primary school, and then high school I played sports as well. So being a part of being an athletic person, it was pretty much easy for me to get girls. In fact, girls were like pretty much after me, and so
Careful. There's a look. Careful.
and so that's one of the things that my mom, she trained me to do. She said, if you notice a girl is going after you, that's a red flag. He said, girls should never go after a boy. It should be the boy that should be chasing the girls, and that's what I noticed with her. Right? That's what I noticed with her, that even though I was playing sports, she was like, you're horrible.
You guys have an interesting dynamic. They do it reverse.
Right? And I would in high school, I was like pretty much one of the best in every sports I play, and she would tell me, you're horrible. I'm like, I just did this, and so right away I realized that this was someone that was, she gave me a hard time. I was like, this was someone I had to pursue, because she's not chasing after me. I have to go, I have to go after her. And so I realized that, I got to make the step before someone comes in and make a step, and I regret it. So.
Okay. All right. And let's hear from our newlyweds.
So I guess what I could say about my one is it was quite interesting and a little magic at the same time. I studied in Taiwan for 7 years. I didn't get to meet her until the 7th year when I was about to leave.
Wow.
And I met her through an English teaching job that I was doing. And I had rejected all events that they invited me to, and I just chose this one, this Christmas event. And it was through a KK exchange gift that they pick your name from the basket. And I happened to see her before that, and I said, I wish you would pick my name and get my gift. And just like that, she picked my name, and then that's how we talked and we dated, and things just came just naturally.
What did you give her as a KK gift?
Mari Sharp.
Mari Sharp? Maybe that's the
Very sharp.
Well, the rule.
Spicy from the start.
Welcome.
The rule of the game was don't buy something, just give something you already have.
Oh,
And
okay.
I was rationing this Mari Sharp for a long time, opening it for a special moment. So it took me half an hour to actually wrap it up to decide to take that. So.
And Angela, what about you? That was a big decision.
Yes, for me, because that time, I I'm thinking maybe this foreigner, maybe when he graduate, he will go back to his country. He didn't like really serious about this relationship. So when we go out dating, then we'll like see how he like treat you, maybe treat me nice and thinking about you. And I found like he's very patient because sometimes we were the culture different, so we are thinking is different. And he has patience to listen to you, what you're thinking, and then he will understand and how this different. So I think maybe he's nice. Maybe he's different guy. Maybe he's really serious about this relationship.
Was there a cultural difference in your? Because Caribbean is a little bit closer.
Well, you know, I mean, Jamaican culture is more.
Careful with that word, because
It's
after
it's more charismatic. It's a larger society, even though it's an island. So that I think there was a little bit of not culture shock, but Jamaican women are
a little bit more independent. I think.
More independent, more aggressive.
Self-assured.
I remember like just a quick joke that Julianne told me that she has a friend who had told her that he went to Jamaica to study, and he didn't have like somebody to wash his clothes, cook and so forth. And his dad told him to get a Jamaican woman. And he got the Jamaican woman, and the dad asked him, well, are you washing your clothes? Are you eating? And he said, yes, nobody wash fishy clothes. So I mean, it was different, but it's something that I think it's a real
story that you're playing off of, right?
I mean, it's a real blessing to go somewhere and to meet somebody who you really didn't, because we never expected to meet. We never expected to fall in love and to get married. If you told me that this would have been my life 15 years ago or 20 years ago, I would never ever believe you.
All right, I want the interesting story now. I want the story of the proposal. Let's start here, the engaged couple. Yeah, I'm giving you that. You have the most recent one.
So what happened is that we went to Princess and we went to see Beauty and the Beast, my favorite movie. I love it so much. And I took my 7-year-old at the time. So we were like, mini little get together. He gets to know her a little bit more and stuff. And we're in the front row. And I'm watching it. It was like in 3D, and I can see the petals flying. And I'm like, oh my gosh, don't let the teacup break. And I was like really in the moment, you know. And I don't know if he made it like just made a player, made it tease me. But when I'm like really in my moment, he leaned over and he was like, marry me, Mara. And I like, shh, wait. So then he looked at me and he kissed my cheek and he was like, no, he's serious. Like, I love you, like, I want you to marry me. And I'm like, oh my God, yes.
What about that moment though? Had you planned it before? Or was it just
honestly, I never really planned nothing. Like, we just gonna go enjoy the movie. And something about the moment just take over and like, just marry me.
we have similar moments to that when we just really interesting, or when I find something interesting that he'll stop and stare, and I can see him looking at me, and I'm like, what is part of the look pan? But I just lost a part there, and I don't know what it got through his mind or what, if he's a stars or something, but when he said it, like, I knew he meant it. You know, like I always say that there's no perfect way to do it. You're how he wanted to do it, and the moment make it perfect. It doesn't have to be flowers and a big balloon and 6,000 people around. It can just be me and him, intimate.
Or stream live on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
God knows. Anybody else has an interesting proposal story?
Well, my one was a little difficult because the parents didn't speak English, so I had to ask their permission, and they lived in a different district. I was studying in the city. She was living in the city, but she would go home. And so I had to ask a Taiwanese friend to translate a whole permission letter to do this. So when I arrived, I didn't know what to expect. And I was hoping they didn't rat out on me. So when I arrived, there was just like a smile on their face, and then she tells me, oh, by the way, my parents going on a trip today, so it's only 2 of us. I'm like, okay. So previously my mom had sent her a white dress, and I said, this is a perfect excuse for her to put it on. I said, let's go to a restaurant, try on the new dress. It's not cold anymore, it's hot now. And she's like, why? just try it on. I say it's disrespectful if you don't try it on. So just make it up. Yeah, I had nothing planned. I was planning it as I went. And that morning it happened to rain a lot, and I was like, oh. And then 2 hours later, when we were actually leaving, it was perfect. And so we went to a park called Sports Park. It's a park that's just like nature. Everything's nature, and she loves nature, so I say perfect place. So I get to a spot where I had first asked her over a bridge, and there was a monument that was over the water, and I said that's the perfect spot. So I have my tripod and everything, and I tell her, we should take some pictures, because Taiwanese love to take pictures, so it fits into the excuse perfect. And then there happened to be 6 old people there. I'm like, oh God. And we're waiting 20 minutes, and she's getting impatient. She's like, I'm hungry, So I'm like, okay, let's go now. Maybe if we go, they'll move. So we went, they moved. So I set up the tripod and everything, and I have everything set. And I'm like, I'll just put the camera on self-timer, and we'll take some pictures. And I put it on video, and then that's when I asked her, and she was like, what's going on? And then she was happy, and she said yes.
Thankfully. Oh, I love that. So we have the somewhat planned proposal and then the in the moment proposal.
Spontaneous.
All right.
Yeah.
I think mine was also in the moment. I reached a point where I was like, you know what, this is what I want to do. I want to get married. I went to my mom. They were sleeping. They were pretty much, in bed. And I told my mom, I said, I'm planning on getting married. My mom was like, what? So I told her, I said, yeah. I said, I'm going to ask Shantel to marry me. And she looked at me and she was like, oh, okay. Because I'm the last, I'm the baby in the family. So I remember when I went to her, she was staying at her friend's house the weekend. And so I went there and I called her out, and both of us were on the veranda, and there were some bikes in the way. And so I remember getting on my knee and I asked her, I said, will you marry me? And she was like, she looked at me and she was like, no. So I was like, what? And she said, you don't have a place to put me. I'm like, what?
A practical woman.
There.
So I said, okay. And I remember I asked her again. I asked her twice. To myself, I said, if it's a no this time, then I might just have to, put this relationship on the side, right? And I remember asking her again, and she was like, okay, let me think about it, and then I will get back to you. And
Boy. You earned this marriage.
And so I asked her a third time, and she was like, okay, because I guess she saw the effort and the persistence, and I when I asked her, she was like, okay, I think yeah, no, you're ready. So
Shantel, you have to give us your side of that story.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously.
Well, for me, it was number one rough, because on the veranda with 3 old rusty bikes, I'm like, come on, man. But that's just the funny side of it. But I always look ahead. I'm a plan freak. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But when you're moving into something that is something huge for me, it's not no plaything. No, it's something serious and huge, and it's not just the wedding day and the dress and all of that. What happens after?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of what will happen after all the food is finished and the ceremony and everything. And I'm like, this guy have nowhere to put me after the celebration. So that's what I told him, which kind of threw him off for the first go around. But I'm like, okay, we can plan together. We can work on something. Because it's not all the time you find somebody who, how men go. They don't really plan as much as we do.
What?
Just my theory. They don't really think ahead. They're just for the moment, for the day. But I don't know. I always try to look ahead, the kids, and where we're going to put them, and what's going to happen, how we're going to feed them. I don't know. I think too much. But that's how it went, and I took a chance. It's all about taking a chance, Like I said, you don't know the person until you really... Every day you meet, you love, you hold hands, you kiss, whatever. But when you live with the person, then it's a different story. Every day this person get annoying some days. You want to get rid of him some days. But then you remind yourself of that you remind yourself that none of you are perfect, you know, and you will not find the perfect person. You know, it's just both of you working together with God's help to understand each other, respect each other, to make this thing work.
Yeah.
You know, you won't find the perfect man, you won't find the perfect woman. If all of us have flaws, even though sometimes women forget that sometimes we don't have. But you won't find the perfect person. So try your best to work together.
Yeah.
You know, work together.
Ours was planned.
Uh-huh.
Well planned.
Well.
We were already dating for, was it almost 3 years? We dated through law school. We were dating for almost 3 years at the time. We went to, I think it was San Pedro. We went to a resort in San Pedro. Darrell had this lovely proposal planned at sunrise on the pier. Yeah, but no, the proposal at sunrise on the pier. And it was a lovely little, it was a lovely setup. I can just imagine it was beautiful, but unfortunately, he saw it, I didn't, because when he went out to make sure everything was perfect, he forgot to take the key, and I sleep very heavy. So when he got back, when he tried to get me out of the bedroom and out onto the pier, it was locked and he couldn't get back in. And it was one of those resorts that the staff don't come until 7 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my God.
So he tried. I later saw many missed calls on my phone. His sister was trying to call me. And unfortunately, by the time I woke up and realized he was outside, the sun was already up.
Oh.
So it was a beautiful.
Yeah. You just waited till sunset. Sunset is beautiful too.
Yeah, I think at that time he was tired, and he was in the moment that he planned had passed, and so he came by the bedside and he says, "Will you marry me?"
But you know, that's a great sign, because after she locked you out of the bedroom for over an hour, and you still wanted to marry her, that's good. But here's the thing, and this is what we were talking about before. I think the love part is so important, you know, but the reality sets in, and I think that there's certain moments sometimes where, you know, are trying, and you mentioned something before about people not being perfect. No human is perfect. Yeah. I always remember someone who was married, who is married, John Flowers, an old co-worker, always used to tell me, he said, you know, what you look for in a partner are the core values that you know you need to have in your life. Everything else you'll learn to live with or learn ways to put up with it. What were the core values for you that you saw in your partner and it's not, and you're right, it's not the external stuff, it's not the material stuff, it's the personality, it's the characteristics that you need to have in your life. What were those for you? Just throw them out at us.
For me, it was respect.
Respect?
You know, respect, because that's what I want my kids to, you know, to relate, right? Mm-hmm. Respect.
Mm-hmm. Perseverance, I think, and strength.
For me, is for him to love my kids. They're not his, and if he can love my kids, I know he can love me.
For us, it was humility and selflessness. Yeah.
Fantastic. There you go. Now you have to answer, Kevin. No, you're in host mode. Go ahead.
Yes, thank God. I actually just wanted to, and the reflection that Shantel said, I think was very powerful, because I think sometimes people come when you are younger. Mm-hmm. You watch Cinderella, mm-hmm. and you watch the movies, and you think that love is something abstract or something out there, and you have to have sparks and you have to whatever.
Yeah.
But like, it's very, I mean, love is having somebody fart around you and you don't mind. Or no, like, I mean, Julianne and I, we've gone through
all the bad
very
habits.
difficult times, very good times, and at the end of the day, we just like spending time with each other. I respect her. You work through your struggles. You have common goals, and love to me is very practical.
Yeah.
It's very, it's the common things, like raising 2 children and having them cry all the time, or like sharing those memories and building a family and building a life together. So that I think younger people don't kind of appreciate that relationships are hard, because you take 2 people who
are independent minded. I mean, you're sharing a bathroom together. You're sharing I like to have space in a bed. So
Yeah.
I mean, and then now it's 4 people in our bed. So our 2 kids always come into the bed. So it's crowded. So now sometimes I'm on the floor. But it's just working through practical things. It's no magic. It's no abstract concept. It's just really making choices that you work together, and at the end of the day you look back and you say, man, 50 years have passed, and I've spent 50 years with my best friend. That's really what it is.
So what makes it worth it then, all this compromise?
Yeah.
I think because after you work through the compromise, you realize the value. The challenge, I think, why we have so many divorces and people giving up on relationships is that they don't work through it. And that was one of my challenges initially, and that's one of the things that I learned from Darrell. You work through it. You don't just throw your hands up and say, he didn't do what I expected, we're over. And that is what is very difficult. But I have found that through everything we have gone through the death of a child, different challenges. And after it happens, you realize why, because your bond is strengthened. And it's something that it takes a level of time and maturity. But I think as a society, we tend to think of marriage as an option, as okay, it can work or it can't work, and then we move on. If we stop looking at divorce as an option and start understanding that the 2 people in the marriage, not anybody outside, but it's the 2 people in the marriage, and like Darrell said, it's a decision you make daily, because whatever happens 10 years from now goes back to a decision that you made some time ago. And so each day, if you make that decision, the results will be something that will be fruitful. So while you're in the moment, make the best decision for you and your spouse.
Shantel, you spoke about a fear, and I don't believe that you can have love without having a fear. A fear, whether that fear is losing the person.
F-E-A-R.
Fear.
There I go thinking it through again.
Not nature.
There I go
We had a
overthinking.
moment where we said, did he just say that? But I realized what you're saying,
Fair.
But you must have a real fear, whether that fear is, as you said, to lose her to somebody else coming, or the fear of what happens when I go to this place I don't know, or the fear of will he love my kids, or the fear of will we work through this. There has to be a fear. My question is, you also said that there's a time before you actually meet the person. My mom believes that it's 3 months before you meet the real person. Before every time you see the person, you meet their representative. And after about 3 months, then you get to meet the real person.
Yes.
What was it like when you first met, because it's all glamorous and glittery and, butterflies in the stomach. What was it like when you met the first thing that you said, I probably don't want to live with that? Whether or not it was smelly feet, or a mother-in-law who was bearing, or just a different culture you just couldn't get your hands around.
People who are bad at fighting.
Yeah, or maybe the kids did something that you weren't. What happened when you met that wall? That I probably don't want to live with this for the rest of my life.
Am I sure I want
I
to?
feel like we've all been on that road with that question. Did I make the right decision? did I not see the sign from God? Or we all have that question every now and then. But when we met the first issue in marriage, I think that was just a few months after we got married. I had to, being the baby, he doesn't get to do much at home. So I had to remind him that Cinderella is dead, There's no more. There's Cinderella is dead, and we gotta work this out together. It's not me, in terms of housework and all of that. Most men feel like it's the woman's job, and you know how that goes. But we worked through that after I gave him that reminder that Cinderella is not gonna come back anymore. She's gone.
Yeah.
She's gone. But yes, like you said, there is a fear. You don't know what to expect, and you see so many marriages falling, and you're like, man, I wonder if that would be the same for mine.
Yeah.
But
what was the first
God's
roadblock
helped
for
me
you
work through
guys?
it.
What was the first challenge, the major challenge?
The main challenge was if she would come here, because when we got engaged, I got engaged to her 1 week before I left. Yeah, so I was taking the risk.
That was a leap of faith.
Yeah, but I trusted she would do it, but I was still, you know, there's a little worry. And then if she came, would she adapt to the culture? Would she adapt to the complexity? Because Taiwan has a really different culture, and they're more about, you know, family and bonding and these kind of things that you think don't exist, but they do on that side of the world. So I'm like, I hope she she could adapt.
And before we marry, I'm not Catholic. So when I come here, and then we prepare to marry, and then I go to the Catholic class and become a Catholic. And first, I can get used to it is the food and maybe it's mosquitoes. Sometimes I really frustrated because for me it's different from Taiwan, right? So sometimes I will talk to him how he can solve this problem. So she said, oh, maybe like when I sleep, maybe he will put a tent, something like that, and for net. and when yes, and maybe if I can get used to the food, sometimes I can cook by myself. So that problem will be solved.
You found a solution.
Yes, I found a solution.
You guys?
Mine is pretty easy because I never see myself dating or even think about marrying a single mother. So my biggest fear was if her kids would accept me. But the silly thing is, I don't force it. So don't like I would be like, oh, I had a stepdaddy now and I have to do what I said. No, I don't do that. I just make it come to me. I just be around and they accept me. So basically get over it and it's good enough for me.
Yeah, they're like him more than like me sometimes.
Good move.
First obstacle?
I mean, I don't think that there was really an obstacle, but I think being in a relationship, it just means you kind of have to suspend yourself. Like Julian also, like both of us are very independent, both of us are very opinionated, and you just have to remember that you have an equal. You actually have somebody who you have to listen to. You have to think about that person all the time. So I can't make plans for myself. I can't. First it used to be that you buy one airline ticket. Now we have to buy 4 airline tickets. You have to actually, if we're coming to the show in the morning, you have to think about a babysitter. You actually have to think about somebody else. Yeah. Everything that you do every second of the day. What am I going to eat? It's not only me. I have to think about that. And that's kind of having a personalities that are very independent. Yeah. Like that's something that we had to work through.
I think one of and maybe many challenges, because over the years there have been so many moments. It's not something that there's a magic wand and it works all the time. Yeah. But I remember having one of what I considered to be one of our greatest challenges. And I remember thinking in the early stages, I think I'm going back to Jamaica. And I would actually go drive all the way up to the airport and watch the planes. But without a ticket, he doesn't know that, right? But those were the early days. And one moment I think I remembered when I was to myself thinking that I'm going to go back to Jamaica. And I remember passing the pastor and he said, how is it? And I said, I'm going back to Jamaica. You're not going to see me again. And he didn't stop. He continued walking and he said, okay, just remember you have to take yourself, Sister Julie. And that hit me like a ton of bricks, because many times with relationships, with family, with everything, it's always about the other person. And we fail to realize how we either can contribute to that circumstance, and we take into marriage. And I think most people, the challenge is you look around and you see many failed marriages. There are very few examples. And we're all trying to work this thing out. With one thing we always know is that we love this person at some point, but somewhere along the way we either stop fighting or we don't fight fairly or something. But there's always us, and that is what we undervalue when we have challenges. What challenge am I bringing to this relationship? And when I realize it's not so much about Darrell and what he does, it's about me. And when you have done and I believe in God, and that God has been a really strong place of refuge for us in marriage. And I said, you know what? I am called to be a good wife, a good mom. And if I do that well, I do it as unto God, and my husband will, of course, be pleased. But it's my responsibility first, and it's not dependent on what he does or doesn't do. And I think what he was trying to teach me for a few years, it came to pass that everything is not going to be easy. But I realized I put the responsibility on me first in terms of being a spouse and being a partner. And I said, if I do that well, it's not about the other person. Many times we blame the other person. And if you do something nice for your partner and you think they don't appreciate it, you get upset because you're looking for approval and appreciation and love. But if you do it from a place of love, then it doesn't matter what the other person do. It doesn't matter what the other person does. They can not appreciate it, but you will feel in yourself that you are satisfied and whole. And that's sometimes we put too much pressure on your partner to make you feel whole, to make you feel happy, to make you, when these are things that can only come from the state of how you are and who you are.
You make a really good point, because I remember in the beginning of a relationship, because I had a really, really rough one before him. I used to put on myself. I never did try. I never tried to encourage nothing. And when we got together and the weeks and the months passed by, and every time we had a little disagreement, I would be the one to be like, oh, I can't stand this boy. I just want to just give it up, you know? And then he remind me here like, Mara, this is not only you. I the right here with you. You know, I want to hold your hand throughout the whole thing. You know, and then I just had to take a step back and just look at it and be like, in order for me, I love you the way how you love me, I need to start with myself. And then I had to let go of the anger I hurt I had before, so that I couldn't let him in. And then that wasn't only on me, because he helped me work through that. And even up to now, like you said, nobody's perfect. Like, we're definitely not perfect. We had our little arguments. You know, he had his time when he comes home from work and he's upset. I'll give him his space, because there's no need for me to be in his space and giving him a hard time when he's already down. So his 5 minutes of calm down, it wouldn't hurt anybody. You know, he can sit down and do his stuff, and I can just continue. And then after that, he'll come and he'll kiss me. He'll be like, hey, baby, how was your day? And I'm like, you okay? And he's like, yes. Then we continue on already, because then I get to give him his space and respect that.
Okay, so we gotta go ahead and take our first break. That's just the first one. Yeah. But we got some games coming up, because there is the talking part that's important, the working together, and we're gonna test it out. That's coming up after the break, right? So you definitely want to stay tuned.